You're listening to the WBT Podcast with Michael Lodge. Listen to all of our podcasts at www.wbtpod.com. Stay informed. Let's get started.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. I'm glad you've joined me. My goodness, where did the week go? I have no idea. It seems like it was just Monday, and now it's gone. We're on Friday. I don't know what's happening to these days. Am I getting older and time is zooming by faster, or am I just too busy? So I'm going to start something new. I'm going to call Fridays Something Fridays, because we're just going to talk about something. I'll be right back after this.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
So as I said, this week kind of zoomed by. I don't know what's happened, but there was a lot of things going on, especially in the news. We had an attack on our embassy. We had we completely destroyed a terrorist general from Iran. And then we had all this nonsense coming out of Congress on impeachment, on the War Powers Act. By the way, that vote that was done yesterday in Congress on the War Powers Act, that was not law, okay? That was just a resolution. It was basically just kind of like, okay, President Trump, put your hands up because we're going to slap it because we didn't like what you did. So that's basically what it was. It doesn't have to go over to the Senate. It doesn't have to be voted on. It doesn't have to be ratified. It was just a vote. What really pissed me off is Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, voted yes for it. Now, here's a guy who's been preaching all this time about protecting the president and doing everything he could to fight for the president, but then when it comes down to this one vote, he voted against the president. And he said he did it because he says he has the most military personnel that lives in his district. That doesn't cut it. It does not cut it. That is not a good excuse. So to me, what happened is that we have this wimpy Republican congressman decide to do something that was far off and to the left. And so what I see him as, he's just as bad as Pelosi. He went right along with Pelosi and all the other Democrats on a worthless piece of resolution that does nothing. It's not law. It's not legal. It's not binding. It's a non-binding resolution. Excuse me. So I really am concerned that we have a member of Congress that would do something so far out of the left that it makes absolutely no sense at all. So I do not like what Gaetz did. I think what he did was instead of holding the Republican line against this nonsense that's happening in Congress, he went along with it. And it doesn't make any sense. No matter what explanation he gives me, I just don't believe it. So that's how we start our Something Fridays. The other thing that I saw today which I'm so happy about, is I saw an article today about the benefits of coffee. Now, I love coffee. And I didn't realize that it had so many health benefits, which I'm so pleased about, because I'm now doing something healthful. After my mom for years told me I was doing something unhealthy by drinking coffee. So coffee, it's my understanding, has enormous, huge health benefits, from reducing diabetes, Parkinson's, heart disease, and cancer. There's some controversy over how it affects creativity. In this article, it says that some scientists believe coffee reduces creativity, according to an article by Maria this is a hard word, okay, Konnikova in the New Yorker, where she published this. She said, creative insights and imaginative solutions often occur when we stop working on a particular problem and let our mind move on to something unrelated. But caffeine prevents our focus from becoming too diffuse. It instead hones our attention in a higher vigilant fashion. I have no idea what that means. In other words, what she's saying is caffeine keeps your mind from wandering, which is part of the creative process. The problem with this theory is that it may overestimate the importance of free association, i.e., mind wandering in the creative process. Let me tell you something. I have been drinking coffee a long time, and my days are full of frustration, and I have to be creative in the way that I come up with new ways of handling issues. Coffee has never hurt me. In fact, it's helped me. Sometimes when I need a break, to just even a 5-second or 5-minute break, to run down to the kitchen, get a cup of coffee, stand there for about 3 minutes. By the time I get back to my office, I've got a solution. So I do not believe that it does not stimulate your creativity because it helps me. And I think it's because I literally stop focusing on what I'm doing, doing something different, and then coming up a creative thing. I also have the same effect taking a shower. In showers, I get the most creative ideas. A good example. This might be too personal, but it's okay. I have to perform a wedding for 3 people starting February 1st. I have 3 weddings each day. 1, 2, and 3. I've got a wedding for each day. And all of them have said they don't want a Christian type wedding. They want a non-denominational wedding. So I said, okay, how am I going to do that? Because I know their history, I know what's going to happen, I know how they met, and I've got to make it so that it's interesting, but yet leave God out of it. Now that's really hard for me to do, because I truly believe in God, and I believe in the miracle of bringing 2 people together. So I got into the shower yesterday, and I'm telling you, by the time I got out, I had a wedding ceremony already planned. I knew exactly what I was going to say, and I went and I wrote it down in my journal, because that's where I perform my weddings out of, in my journal. Now, a lot of people say, my gosh, you're an accountant, you are a business mediator. What in the world are you doing weddings? Why are you being the officiant at weddings? Because I like it. That's the simplest answer ever, is I really enjoy spending the time with these newly found people who want to become man and wife, and come up with something that means something to them. Because I know that the words that I say on that day, on that wedding day, has got to be something that they're going to cherish and they're going to remember for the rest of their life. a wedding ceremony, it's really important to put these two together on one single playing field, and they understand what they are supposed to do in that marriage. And a lot of people tend to forget, but if you can come up with something that is truly inspirational to them for their moment, they'll remember it for the rest of their lives. I remember my mom used to always talk about her wedding, what the pastor said. So it really does mean something. But, so showers and coffee for me are my inspiration. I love coffee. And I love the way that it allows me to take that break and just clear the mind. And by the time I get back to my office, I'm ready to go. I've got a solution. So I love coffee, and I'm glad that knowing that coffee is a benefit to me, because I've always been told, my mom always told me, don't drink coffee because it's going to kill you. But then we come out with all these new studies saying that coffee is good for you. So we never know what's going to happen in life, right? We have a little bit of study done back in the 1950s that my mom lived off of. My mom, I tell you, it was the most disgusting thing ever. But she used to make this, well, she used to buy it at the health food store. And it was a product that was supposed to take the place of coffee. And it was called Postum. And I'm sure that some of you remember what Postum is. It was out there for a long time. In fact, I think it's still out there. But it was like a dried coffee, or dried, but it was made out of wheat. Yeah, I believe it was made out of wheat. And it was freeze-dried, just like the coffee is freeze-dried. So you just took your spoon, you took a spoonful out, put it in the hot water, and that became your make-believe coffee. But the problem is it tasted worse than coffee. Now, my mom was on this health kick, and she was trying to get my dad, don't drink any coffee. But my dad was really sneaky. And my dad, he said, Mom, I'm going to go out and I'm going to go down and buy a paper. Well, 2 hours later, he would roll in. He would have his paper, but we knew exactly what he had done, because he finally admitted to us, is that they lived up in Prescott, Arizona, which is a nice rural area. So he would go down to the local coffee shop, and he would sit with all the guys, and they would drink their coffee, and they would talk about politics, and they would talk about anything, hot rods, cars, motorhomes, traveling. All of these group of guys would go there and have their cup of coffee, mingle, chat, gossip. And it was a good experience for my dad. Looking back on it now. And he lasted quite a while until he came down with cancer. But he snuck out just so he could have his cup of coffee. And I don't know you, but I always enjoy, like when I'm up in those type of rural communities and you go to the coffee shop, doesn't the coffee taste a lot better? Even the ice cold milk tastes better. I don't know why that is, but that coffee out of that big old container that they pour into your white cup, the best thing ever. So I'm happy. I'm happy that we now know coffee is good. The other thing that I was thinking about, I came across this other article. And in business, this is a business topic now, so sorry about that, but we need to talk about it just a little bit. In business, we've come to know the term branding. Every one of us talk about branding and how we should really focus on branding of the company. Well, there's that other aspect of branding yourself as a leader in that company. And there's some things that you really should focus on, because branding of the company is also important for branding of you as an individual. What you do, how good you are at it. Branding is really important. So, in this article, I found they came up, I think it was like 4 items that you need to do. And I'm going to read them off to you. One is to upgrade your mindset. The first and most important step is to completely switch the way you think, especially when it comes to social media. Social media is no longer about posting photos of delicious food and fancy vacations. It has a deeper objective to show off your true skills across multiple platforms that are consumed on daily basis by many audiences worldwide. Last year, and this year too, I said everybody has to focus on providing good content of value to the people that are watching you on social media. Yeah, you can post every once in a while maybe a picture of your dog or a picture of your breakfast or whatever. I do that. But the majority of the time, I'm focused on the content that I'm delivering. What value am I providing the individual that is reading my posts? Now, I want you to also think of this one thing, and it's a scary thing. So you have to be really good at content so it gets their eye. And it's that when people are scrolling in Instagram or Facebook, they are spending between 4 to 6 seconds on your post before they scroll to the next one. And I found that's true with me too. I scan it, scroll, scan it, scroll, scan it, scroll. I only stop if I see something that means something to me. So that's why it's so important that in your social media, not just to post the things about what you're doing and you're having fun at, but also about really good content that means something to somebody else. Number 2, define your expertise. Do this by simply outlining your experience on a piece of paper and use it as a roadmap to reflect it in the digital world. This step will let you find out exactly what your core abilities are and how you can steer them in your favor to expose yourself to the world or to your community or to your industry. Even if you have zero experience, you can start by knowing exactly what you want to do and then immediately start educating yourself, utilizing thousands of available learning sources we have now. Remember to share with the world your progress. You will be amazed how many people are going to be interested in what you share. Now, my comment on this. Learning something new every single day is vital. And there are a whole bunch of sources out there for you to do that. Now, I am a certified mediator, so I study a lot on mediation and negotiations. I am also a tax guy, so I also study a lot on taxes. So those are my 2 things that I'm always studying on. But I also like to study other subjects that will help me along the way. Maybe in leadership, maybe in writing, maybe in speaking. It could be a whole bunch of different things. And I have found that in LinkedIn, if you're a member of LinkedIn, they have a whole bunch of free courses online that you can take. And I have taken so many and it has really benefited me because it reminds me, well, you know what? I remember that. I should be doing that. Or it's something brand new that I can apply to whatever I'm doing at that moment with clients. But there's a lot of free stuff out there. Even on YouTube, there's a whole bunch of videos that you can watch which on any subject matter that you want to learn. Continue learning and keep telling people that you're learning. Because people want to know that you are keeping informed, that you're knowledgeable. Number 3, be everywhere. Yes, everywhere, even the platforms that you hate or don't know how to use. TikTok, I just started learning how to use TikTok. And I'm surprised at how many people actually read my or listen to my vlogs there. Because I always do a video every morning. And it has to be 50 seconds. And I do that. I've learned how to do that. Sometimes I do 2 and 3 a day. I didn't like it. I didn't know anything about TikTok. But now it's TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and it goes on and on. There's a whole bunch. Luckily, they all source together and can be distributed together. But you have to do this. This is how I have gained my followers on all these different places. Now, I lose them too, so I'm not quite sure how the algorithms work, and this is something that I'm trying to understand. Because it seems like Instagram is always changing. 1 minute I'm way up there in numbers, and all of a sudden they're all gone. So it's a game that you have to play, but you have to keep doing it every day. It's called consistency. You have to be consistent. Number 4, share your knowledge. What you need to do across your different online channels is to share knowledge as much as you can. And keep everyone you really have to help everyone to benefit from your unique experience. Make sure the content you share will become important to the people who will start to follow you and keep track of what you post. Now, every day I write articles on Instagram. Not on Instagram, on LinkedIn. And I post there every single day. And I monitor to see how many people are reading, who are reading them. Because I can tell on mine how many attorneys are reading it, how many HR people are reading it, how many directors are reading it. I can also see what cities are reading reading my articles from. Right now, my top reading is Florida, New York, California. Those are my 3 places. Even though I'm spread out all over the United States, that's where I'm listened to. Well, that's where people are picking me up on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I tell you, LinkedIn for business is great. But what I've seen on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's got to do something about this, is that everybody who was offering their shams over on Instagram have now moved over to LinkedIn. So you see a lot of this stuff. But LinkedIn is really good at monitoring it. But some of that stuff is just absolutely nonsense. Number 5, engage with others. Don't build a one-way channel that broadcasts information only. Create an engaging community around you where you reach out to others in your field and engage with their content in a meaningful way. You can do this through simple steps like liking their post, if you really do, and leaving a comment that not only attracts more eyeballs, but you also get recognized as an active person who provides value. Now, let me tell you something. The internet is a negative place. And sometimes you will post something and people will react with hate. They don't like what you said. So instead of making an argument that you can discuss with them, they immediately begin calling you names. And they are not nice names. But there's so much hate out there at the moment, and everybody wants to prove that they're right, but they don't have a good argument to prove it, so what do? They attack. So you've got to expect some of that. Now, you can address the attack and say, hey, can you come back to me with why you feel that way? Now, a lot of the times, 99% of the time, they never come back. So they just wanted to hate. And you've got to expect that there are people out there that hate. Today I did a vlog and posted it, and I said, you've got to stop this hate. Because everybody out there on social media is hating. And they're not making sound arguments, they're just saying hateful things, and they're calling people names. So hate never does anything. It just digs a bigger hole of hate. And then pretty soon you got all the other haters in with you. And then you have a whole mountain of haters. That little dip in the earth that you built becomes deeper and deeper and deeper. And finally the bodies of haters begin to mount up. And you're all hating, but are you accomplishing anything? No. You're accomplishing nothing. Hate is the most worthless spending of time is to hate. I tell you, when I used to have a healthcare staffing company in California, and I would get some nurses with some real attitude. I mean, really bad attitude. And I would have these discussions with them. And after they would leave my office, I would literally yell at the top of my voice, I am never going to hire this PT or this nurse. I'm not going to hire them anymore. I'm done with it. I'm pissed off. I hate them. And it would ruin my whole day. Finally, I learned that it was a total waste of time. Because you have got to dwell upon the positive things of what you're doing and spend no time on the hate. So I got my hate down to 5 minutes. After 5 minutes of anger and maybe a little burst out now, it's very seldom it happens. I'm done with it. And I have moved on. Now my problem is when I have to deal with people that can't move on. That's when you just have to get up and walk away and say, I've got more important stuff to do. Hate never accomplishes anything. But you're going to find it on social media. I hate to say that, but you can also find a lot of people who bring value to your discussion. And those are the people that you want to be in contact with because they have really good content that can help you. Remember, throughout 2020 now, focus on the content that you're doing, on the emails that you're sending out, on the promotional items that you're doing, on the postings that you're doing on social media. Make sure that your content has value to other people. It's very simple, isn't it? But, there's always a but, right? There are going to be some of those people out there who are just going to attack you for no reason at all. Don't pay attention to them. Move on. Move on down the road. Because you don't want that kind of environment. You don't want that kind of discussion. Just move on because there's so many other things that you can accomplish. Remember, it's all about accomplishments, right? What you have done or what you're going to do or what you're going to build means something. Hate means nothing. So that is it for this Friday. One of our first Something Fridays. We really talked about something this morning or evening or afternoon, whatever time or whatever country you're listening to me in. By the way, you guys listening to me in Ukraine, I know that you've given a lot of money to the Bidens. I know that you've given a lot to the Pelosi's. I know you've given a lot to other politicians. Send a little my way. Seems like you have a lot to give away. Send a little my way. Just send it over. I'll be a happy man. Everybody go out and have a great weekend. I'll talk with you over the weekend. I'll do a podcast on Saturday and Sunday. But everyone go out. Today is a really good day. Talk with you soon.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.